Hi everyone, this is Pam. I'm doing another video on a new wreath that I've come up with, and I'm really excited to show this. I'm calling this one a, let me think here, can't think of the word. Medium, that's the word I'm looking for. A multi-medium wreath, meaning that I am using two different mediums to create this wreath. One of the mediums is our burlap. This one happens to be a glittered tinsel, black and red tinsel that I've cut into 10 by 10 squares. I've flattened it and I've sprayed it with my clear spray. And it's a little bouncier, I guess you could call it, so I'm keeping it under a ceramic tile that I bought at Home Depot or Lowe's store, just to keep it flattened. And then the other part of the medium that the petals are made from is a sheet of glittered foam. Okay, so I had purchased these several years ago. They're the larger sheets. I'm not sure, I don't have a measure right here at the moment to tell you the size, but they're a pretty big size, but you could use whatever size you need. You would just have to buy multiples. And what I've done is taken a pattern of a petal and traced it onto the back of my foam, and I believe I reversed it and traced it, and what I did to get the most, this will hold 8 petals, is I flipped the petal. So one time it's pointing down, the next time it's pointing up, pointing down, pointing up, the whole way across that piece of glittered foam. Okay? And then literally I have just taken a pair of scissors and cut around that petal. I'll just do a quick one here for you. I've worked with foam. I've made several wreaths years ago, probably back in 2019. I don't know, they're on my website. Gotta have that wreath. Where I had taken foam and created several different wreaths and just used all foam, and they're beautiful and they hold up well. They're pretty much weather resistant to the rain and the weather. So I'm just cutting this along the pattern, and there you see, you have it. Now for me, I like to make my petals notched, and the reason is I think that it holds better and it just looks nicer. It just gives a more finished look. So when I create my petals, I create them with an actual notch, and I'm going to show you how to use your zip tie. Now, as always, I give you permission to use my wreath as pin money. Make them for yourself and sell them and make yourself some pin money, what they call pin money. I do not give you permission to take my video and create your own video. Okay, this is my intellectual property. It's my design. I've created it. So you do not have the right to take my video and just claim it as your own by changing something minute and recreating my idea, my wreath, and claiming it as your own. That's a copyright fraud. And yeah, so you can create the wreaths and sell them for pin money. You cannot recreate my video. Okay, so with that said, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish cutting out the petals. You can buy this glitter anywhere. Hobby Lobby has it, Walmart has it. They don't have the bigger sheets like this. I actually purchased this online, I believe you can buy it. on eBay in the bigger sheets. I had a friend several years ago that she had family in Mexico, and when she went to visit, she bought a lot of sheets for me and brought them home. So this is kind of old stock that I have, but you can certainly use the 9 by 11 sheets. You just won't get as many petals out of it. It's very easy to cut just with scissors, and I will upload a pattern, my pattern, for you so that you can download it and use it to make your own wreath. I also have this glitter tinsel in orange and black, and I had made a wreath with poly burlap, just poly burlap, and the glitter tinsel mesh. And it's pretty, but I think I may have enough left to go ahead and try it with this glittered foam. I don't know that I have any orange, or see if I can find some online. I'll show you. Hang on one second. There is my poly burlap with the glittered mesh, tinsel glittered mesh, and I'm hoping that you're seeing how beautiful those colors actually are. I'm not sure that my lighting is the best. I may have to rethink this and add some more lighting so that you can really see how beautiful this is. But anyhow, I'm going to try and recreate this with orange glittered foam and see how that comes out. And I'll share it when I do. Okay, so I have a couple more petals here to finish cutting out. And I'll actually show you what I do to the petals to give them a little bit of form and dimension, I guess you could say. When you put the wreath together. It goes fairly quickly once you get them traced on. And I believe this is my second sheet of foam. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals already on there. These will be 8, so that'll be 14. Usually it takes about, I think 12 back petals for my 10.5 inch wreathing board. And if you're interested, I do have these listed on my Etsy shop, and you can just contact me through Facebook or my Gotta Have That Wreath page. A lot of people have been ordering them from me, and that's how they've contacted me, just through my website or through my Facebook page. Those run, I believe the 10.5 inch size is $10.50 plus shipping. So if you're interested in trying out my wreathing boards, I think they're so much faster than messing around with the wireframe and the plastic canvas. Okay, so let me get rid of this, and I'll show you the next step. So, what I like to do to give my petals some form or shape take a dowel rod. I'm not really sure if this is probably, I don't know, a half-inch piece of dowel rod. It's just cut into pieces that's manageable. And I literally just take the petal and roll it on that dowel rod. And what that does is it just gives your petal a little bit of a curl, and that's going to give your wreath some depth. So I'll just go ahead and do all of that first before I start to put the wreath together. Is just go ahead and roll these back petals. Just gives it a little shape, a little form. You can see how that gives it a little up curl in the petal. I like that idea. What I've also done, and I haven't done it to this page, but some of the other ones I have, I think this is one of them, is I'll actually take the whole page of foam and get some Mod Podge after I've traced on the petals on the back side, and Mod Podge a couple coats onto that piece of foam. And what that does is it just gives your foam a little bit more thickness, a little bit more stiffness. Okay, so it's simple enough to do. Is it required? No, but I do like the stiffness that it adds. So if you're interested in doing that, that's just an extra tidbit or tip for you, is to take your sheets of glittered foam, trace your pattern on, and then take some Mod Podge and put 2 to 3 coats. Make sure you're drying with a hair dryer in between to make sure that it's dry the whole way through before you add the next layer. Okay, so I've curled all my petals, and we're going to put the wreath together. I'm so excited about sharing this with you all because it's just absolutely gorgeous. I have my zip ties. I think these are 8-inch zip tie. I've started my board, and I sometimes will skip a hole. I have one of these ones, so I preload it. I'm going to skip a hole and put my zip tie in there. Let's see if I've skipped a hole. And taking my petal, and where you find that indent is where you're going to lay it. Let me get you in here so you can see what's happening. I haven't figured out what's the best video set up yet. I'm still trying to work on that. Okay, so here's my notch petal. I'm going to lay that in my zip tie. Okay, and I'm just going to zip that in. And I'm going to pull it as tightly as I can get it. Okay, to make sure that that petal's secure. And then I just clip the excess. So again, I'm going to skip a hole. I'm going to go in, add my zip tie, take my petal, take the notched part laid on the zip tie, and zip tie it down as tightly as I can get it. And you would go the whole way around that wreath back. So skip a hole, add a zip tie. The reason I'm skipping a hole is these petals are actually big enough to cover, so it takes less petals. You don't have to go in absolutely every hole. Now normally I would finish the wreath and redo the whole thing to make a video. But I'm really super excited to share this one with you. And so I thought, well, I don't have the whole thing completed. I don't know what's going to be the next, well, I do know what the next row is, but I don't know what the third row is going to be. So we'll just find out as we go along what works and what doesn't. Sometimes I do that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we're putting in our last zip tie. Skipped a hole, put our last zip tie in, and zipping it down. And cutting it off. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That one took 11. Okay, so there's our backdrop. And then we're literally just going to make our wreath. So this is a 10 by 10 square. I did cut this on my bag sealer. Okay, it cuts perfectly. So there's no reason that you don't, you couldn't use your bag cutter. The edges are curled up and in. I'm going to take the finished edge that's on my left, fold it up into a triangle. Try to measure, or match those up, the sides, the best you can. It's not perfect. Crease it across the bottom. Let's see, I hope that's the one I did. Maybe not. Yeah, it is. So crease it across the bottom, and then I'm going to gather that bottom the whole way across. I like to hold my hand over the tip of the petal just to try to keep it level. Okay. So there we have our petal. And I'm just gonna, this one I did not skip a set of holes. I should have preloaded it, but there we go. I'm just gonna put my zip tie in, lay my petal down, and zip tie it as tightly as I can get it. And cut off that excess. This one I will preload. I think the nicest thing about this wreath too is that it's very lightweight, and it's very thin, so it will easily fit between doors. Your screen door. Alright, so we have the edges curled up. I have that finished edge on my bottom left. I'm going to take that bottom corner, match it up to the top corner, flatten it out, try to line up those edges the best I can, and then come along the bottom and pleat. I'm going to lay my hand over that tip of the petal to keep the petal as wide as I can get it. I think that helps. And then zip tie it down. Put in another zip tie. Now it looks like this row is taking, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, possibly 11 petals. So you can fold it, line up the edges, crease it across the bottom, and pleat it. Two little tabs, you just pull them to the back. I got a little straggler here. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut them off. And zip tie that petal in place. preload. And on to the next petal. I just must really like bling because this is just absolutely going to be beautiful for Christmas because of the glitter petals. And I don't know what other color, I haven't really looked what other colors that this tinsel mesh comes in, but I'm hoping it comes in maybe a green, a silver, a gold. I think would be beautiful for the Christmas season to make some wreaths out of. I like to have a variety of wreaths. I do a big show in the fall. I didn't do it this year. They were a little nervous about COVID, so I didn't go to it this year, but maybe next year. And if I do, I will certainly take some videos for y'all to see. It's a 2-day show. It's a big show. People really make a lot of money. $6,000, $10,000 in 2 days at this show. And it's local for me, so I don't really need another petal, but I'm going to put it in here. I don't like that distance between the two, so I'm going to give it one last petal here. Back, flip it over, and put it in. And then we'll make a decision as to what's coming next. Whether it's going to be another row of this tinsel mesh or another row of the glittered. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I have enough. I probably need maybe 6 of them. I don't know. What do you think? Too much with all of that? Or let's try something else. Let's preload. And try another petal. This kind of petal. We can always take it out if we don't like it. It's just a zip tie. I used to be well, I'm not nervous, but I didn't like to waste my zip ties. But if I don't like something, I certainly just clip it and cut it, cut it out and don't think twice about it. I don't like to waste them, but if I have to, I will. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is just put another row of this beautiful red tinsel to make it fuller. And I am going to go into part of the hole that I use. So I'm going to use one and then go to the next hole and backlap to that hole the whole way around, just so it gives it a little bit more fullness. Let's see where we're at here. Fold our triangle, hold our top, pleat the bottom, pop it to the back. I got a little straggler there I'm just going to cut off. And this wreath I probably, I think you would be able to sell this probably easily for $35. And I know that's not a lot, but locally, you know, I don't live in a big town, and, you know, I try to give a fair price. I think that, you know, some people, you know, put a lot of product in their wreaths. They're kind of on the massive side. That's okay for them. And they have to charge a lot more, but to be truthful, when you live in a small town, I sell more wreaths at a lower cost and probably make close to the same money, because people want to be able to afford to buy it, you know. You can have all the wreaths you want hanging up and priced, you know, top of the line, but if nobody buys them, what good is it? You've wasted your time and you've wasted your product. So I would say at least 35 to 40 I should be able to easily sell the wreath, and sell a lot of them at my shows. I'm just making the petals. We're on the third petal of the last row. Let's see here. How beautiful that's going to be. Okay, not real full. Sort of like a pancake wreath. I'm going to try to get it outside and get a picture of it for you. It's drab and dreary and rainy here today, so I'm not sure how good that's going to be, but we'll try. Second time working with this tinsel mesh, and I'm really loving the looks of it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 or 9 petals we'll have on this center. We'll see what we end up with. Just pleating it along the bottom, folding back those tabs. And putting it in our wreath. And I just turned on my glue gun. I initially thought of a center that I would use, and looks like that's the one I'm gonna use, and I'll show it to you here in a second to get our petals in. It's a simple center but effective. I've used it a lot on a lot of my wreaths. I'm gonna redo that one. Slightly off. Yeah, and it's just a simple wooden disc. I make them in different sizes, so I have 3-inch ones, 4-inch ones, and I believe I have my husband, I shouldn't say I make them, my husband cuts them for me, a 6-inch one. And it just depends on what kind of wreath I'm making, what size I end up using. Preload this one. Looks like we'll need 2 more. And then I'll show you how to make your center. I had been making some centers, using styrofoam and a outdoor carpeting that I bought at Home Depot or Lowe's, one of the two, and sculpted them. I did a video on that. You can certainly use that technique and, you know, make your center a red center, painted red center, black center. You could probably even glitter on top of that carpeting. I don't know for sure, but I would think you might be able to. Okay, so our last petal. Get it lined up there the best I can. Just going across the bottom, pleating it, tucking those tabs to the back. Let's see how many that actually took. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it did take 9 petals to make that second row. And here is my center that I'm going to be using. Just a round disc, you know, made of birch, thin birch. This one probably is a, I don't know, 4-inch, 5-inch. And I've taken a piece of the foam, the red foam, and just drew a circle a little larger than my wooden center. And the reason I did that is I'm going to actually nip just a little bit into the edge, not real close together, maybe about a, I don't know, inch, half inch. I'm going to go all the way around. I'm not going to go all the way into that wooden piece, but close to it, okay? And the reason I'm nipping it is so that it lays flat. And you're going to glue those tabs down. And again, I'm not worried about the glue. It's winter time. I don't think it's going to let loose. Okay, so I've just gone through and I've cut tabs the whole way around. And I'm just going to take my glue gun and add a little line of glue. I don't go the whole way around right away. I'm just going to work my way around and then pull that tab down over that glue and hold it there briefly until it sets. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more glue and continue to work my way around, pulling that tab over top of that glue, holding it there so that it has a chance to set. Okay. Adding a little more, holding it there. Working my way around. And you can see it really gives it a nice smooth edge, and that's what you're looking for. Okay? Adding a little more. Now these ones were a little short, but it'll be alright. It just was a scrap piece of the glitter foam that I had left over from cutting the larger petals. I mean, you can make it any size you want. I just don't like to waste. So I'm going to pull those down over hold them there briefly until that sets. And there's the back side of that. And it's okay, nobody's going to see that, it's going to be glued down, but look how nice the edge came out. It's not perfect, but pretty close to it. Just rolling it on the table to help set it a little. Yeah. So that's just a quick and easy center. Now if I wanted to, I could certainly put a wire there with some glue and maybe a piece of felt over top of it and wire that center in. Typically in the wintertime, like I said, I'm not really worried about the glue melting, so I'll just glue it in. I'm just going to give it enough glue in the center, and then I'll even come out to that edge that we just glued down. So I put pretty much glue on there, and I'm just going to make sure it's centered over those zip ties. Hold it there till that glue sets up. This takes a couple seconds. And there is your wreath. I'm just going to add a zip tie to the back. Pick a set of holes. Put my zip tie in after the other hole. Pull it out. I'm not going to close it all the way. I'm just going to zip tie it until it catches. And then again, one day I'm going to, I'll show you how to put this, cover it with felt, but I just go to Joann's and buy a roll of it, put my wreathing board down, trace it out with white chalk, cut it out, put it over top so that it doesn't scratch the doors. But there is our beautiful, let's see, yeah, medium wreath, glittered foam in the back with a tinsel mesh up front. Absolutely gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of short and sweet today, but I really wanted to be able to get this out there to you guys so that you're able to start making them for the Christmas season and hopefully selling some for pin money. So please like my video and share so that I can grow my page, and I look forward to the next video, hopefully sooner rather than later. Thanks again.